All right, before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ruchachorash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim wa Akwath, learning and teaching truth and sincerity. And this is going to be another video through the Spirit. All right, I got another, now this is something we actually watched at the camp yesterday, or after camp yesterday. And this shit had brothers ready to choke a devil silly. It says survivors of Native American boarding schools discuss dark history in the U.S. And this wasn't that long ago, y'all. And notice, this is NBC News. They got 6 million subscribers, yet it only got 80,000 views. But if Kim Kardashian, her fucking on Pete would get 100 million view a video, or Suki Hana shaking her ass, or, some bullshit. The real things in the world, they don't want people to be reminded of. All right, especially us the Israelites, because if we had our minds set on shit like this, we'd be ready to rip these fuckers apart. All right, but this is how we know. This is more proof that we are the chosen people, because we were promised to go through sufferings for our disobedience. And let's look at some of the sufferings that, it says Native American here, but I'm going to assume that it was Gad and Ruben mixed amongst them, that they had to deal with at these boarding schools in America, because these devils came here and butchered them and annexed them and made them change their way of life. No matter how you fucking cut it, that's what happened. All right, Pocahontas wasn't some little girl in a Disney tale. Pocahontas was getting raped left and right until she died of, I believe, a STD. Let me double check that. Right here, plain and simple, without even looking extra deep into it, you just type in, was Pocahontas R-worded? It says Pocahontas was abducted and raped by colonists. It says Pocahontas had to give away her baby before going on the ship. Soon afterward, the settlers killed Pocahontas' husband. During her captivity, they repeatedly raped her, which made her depressed and secluded. All right, and when I was looking to it, some of the sources are saying that she died of some unspecified illness. Some are saying, pneumonia, or upper respiratory, some sort of chest illness. Let me see. It says Pocahontas and John Smith were never in love, and she never saved Smith's life. It says she was married to a fellow tribesman, Kokum, and they had a baby daughter, Kaoki. All right. Pocahontas was abducted and raped. It says, let's see, she had to give her baby away. A plantation owner married her to get the secret of tobacco cultivation. Was paraded in England and then poisoned. Wow. Okay, it says to get political support for the colony, the settlers took Pocahontas to England. They had advertised her as an Indian princess. She even met with King England, James. So I'm just showing this real quick before we get into that video. This is how they treated us, man. So jumping down, in 1617, Pocahontas was planning to return to America when she suddenly died. She either died of either from smallpox or tuberculosis, but most likely the cause of her death was poisoning. She was only 21 years old, so that's real history, bro. Not Disney World, man. So let's see how they was doing our brothers and sisters. Get this real quick. Right here, Psalm 73 and 8. All right, they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. All right, they make our suffering, our sadness look minor and insignificant when it's not. Let's take a look at what this man was forced to endure.
Victimization and the trauma and the bad, you go forward. So that always wins out.
Holy Childhood has not responded to NBC News' request for comment.
Of course they're not.
Fred Kiogma is a Marine Corps veteran, but said...
So keep in mind, y'all, this man, he's about to give his story. And even after everything he endured, he still went and became a Marine, which, that's simple, but that goes to show you the mindset of our people. Our people have an instinct in them to just want to live a decent life. Even these drug dealing ass niggas, they just trying to get by, but they wicked as fuck. So even after all this shit this nigga went through, he still went and became a Marine. So let's hear what happened to him.
Memories from Holy Childhood still haunt him.
What were those early days at Holy Childhood like?
It was a 3-story building, castle-like appearance, electricity, because we didn't have electricity growing up. I remember having to go there, and because my brothers were already been there, my 3 older brothers were already there, and I had wanted to go there, there. It was one of those family traditions that went there. My mom and dad went there. My grandparents went there. A lot of things that took place there were very rude awakening. The nun.
So he didn't know. He wasn't ready. You know, his family should have kept him. He ain't know.
Took you. They had this table, and they stood you up, and they just stripped you naked and washed from head to toe. The nun's telling us, you know, you got to wash till you get that color off. And we didn't know what that meant because we were washed. I mean, we were clean. And you keep going till you get that brown off there. And then, you know, you get issued your clothes.
You got to wash you till we get that brown off you. That sounds pretty racist to me.
Signed where you're going to be at. Given a number. I was number 27.
Fred recalls getting locked in a freezing closet. Racist remarks. A nun once forced him to eat another child's vomit.
We were sitting there, and the girl sitting across from me, she was trying to eat it. And if you don't mix cornmeal up, sometimes it comes in clumps. It just does. And as a first, second grader, you know, she was already crying because the nun had told her, you keep eating it. You keep eating it. So the girl did. Oh, and she did. She swallowed it and must have hit one of them clumps because then she's, not only that, but she vomited. And I just lost it. You know, I started giggling because she threw up. Then the nun came over and he said, you find it so funny, Freddie? Then you eat it. So I had to sit there and eat that girl's food that she just thrown up. She literally threw up. And I had to eat that soup or that stuff, her vomit, and the cornmeal that caused it. And while I was doing that, my brother, Alan, he grabs my leg, you know, like this. And just first, second, third graders and stuff. And I'm eating this stuff and I'm crying and stuff. And he keeps squeezing my leg, you know. I get done. And then we go to school. And we get out at recess because he goes somewhere else. And I ran up to him. And I was like, Alan, you know, why were you crying? Because he was crying. But he's holding my leg. I said, why were you crying? I'm the one that had to eat that puke. And he just looked at me. And he was quiet his whole life. He was even quiet then. And I kept bugging him. And finally he turned around. And he said, little bro, he said, Mom said to take care of you and protect you.
It's time to take action. Start by talking to your
and he's about to go into detail. That's a damn shame.
But he goes, I couldn't. He goes, that's why I was squeezing your leg. But I was mad at him. And he was trying to protect me.
He about to start crying. This nigga's an ex-soldier, y'all. He didn't kill people. And that shit's bringing him to tears. This is the things that these devils made us go through. We've cartographized it now. We got you on ice now. We see you devils now. But what prophecy does this fulfill, man? They made him as a young boy eat another person's vomit. Y'all think this is gonna go unpunished? You know, and this wasn't that long ago. That is in clear camera video. This guy is probably in his 60s, maybe 70s. That happened to him when he was a young child. That man's still alive. This is not that long ago, y'all. You still have people alive to this day who endured straight torture under the hands of this devil. Especially Northern Kingdom. What is that? Genesis 49 and 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Who were the Native Americans overcome by? The American cavalry. Originally the colonies, all right, which has now become the Americans, which is why that boy was being in that boarding school forced to eat fucking vomit. You tell me who's the devil. You tell me who's truly the bad one on this planet Earth. All right. That's why we gonna tear you devils up, man. Bringing that man to tears. And I can imagine when he described it the first time, even still right now in this moment, I can imagine that scene going down in my head. That whole ass nun standing there looking evil, him being forced to eat that shit, and his brother crying, holding him. Because what? His brother was told to protect him. And in that moment, he couldn't protect him. Why? Deuteronomy. What curses? Who does this Bible apply to? Let me get that. His little brother couldn't do nothing for him, because if he would have tried, he probably would have got his little head busted. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Is that not what literally happened to him and his brother and siblings? They became in possession of the United States government in them boarding schools. All right. As our nation as a whole, were taking slaves under these Edomites when they came and got us. All right. And when they came here to the Americas and did the same thing to Gad and Ruben and all the other Northern Kingdom tribes. All right. It says, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. All right. So literally, when this was happening, when we were being taken slaves, our families were being split apart, and we couldn't do anything about it. And I'm applying the part, no might in our hand, meaning what? We couldn't do shit about it. His older brother couldn't do shit but watch his younger brother eat vomit and stand both of them cry, man. You tell me who the fucking devil is. Where and who is he? If not, where and who the fuck is he, man? Who is going around the planet Earth doing this shit to people?
Trying to protect me.
Got that grown man crying.
So yeah, that was 57 years ago.
It's about 60 years.
And I can remember the expressions, his tone, and how small I felt.
You were really young when you came to the school.
Yep.
Did you have a sense at that young age of what was happening to your identity?
Nope.
Not so much as my identity. I just know when we got there, they shaved our pretty much the same haircut I got now. It's by no means did I have long hair, but it was one of those things that it was shaved. Everybody looked the same. But the identity was, I lost a lot of my language, a lot of it, because was my mom and dad's first language. That was my grandparents' first language. And growing up on Indian Road, all of the tribal people out there, that was what they were talking. And you come here, and yes, you already knew English, but in there, you weren't allowed to even say it. You just get beat for it. But after 7 years of that, and you lose it, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
How do you feel the nuns viewed you and all the other kids at the time?
It wasn't all the nuns. There were some nuns that were our go-to people. Those are the ones.
So, what scripture does that attribute? Literally getting our language beaten out of us. All right. Who was that prophesied that was going to happen to? Now, when he says his language, he's talking about the Native American customs here. Because, Northern Kingdom, they was here in the Americas separated for a while. So they started divulging into their own avenues. It tells you that in that book by James Aldeer, The History of Native American Indians. As each generation passed, they got further and further away from the light of the Lord, and went about their own ways. But this happened to our nation as a whole. Literally, we couldn't speak nothing. We couldn't do nothing or learn nothing if it wasn't of the white man. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. And this is what happened. This is what has truly happened to us, y'all. All right. We was beaten, we was broken, we were stripped of everything. But, there's hope at the light of that tunnel, because bringing it back to this Genesis, what did it say towards the end? Genesis 49:19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. All right. So we're about to overcome this devil, and he knows that. We're about to break this motherfucker down and do him greasy, but in righteousness. All right, you could go on to watch the whole video, but that part in particular, man, we was watching that shit last night, y'all. Boy, it got tense in that room. All right, I think a majority, it was about 14, 15 brothers in there. We was all looking at each other. We was pretty uptight for that, for that moment, man. This place is fucking wicked, dog. Isaiah 14:2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. That's what's coming, man. You devils beat us down and broke us, we gonna tag you the fuck back. All right? Revelation, I'm gonna bring it out. Revelation 13. You did this to us, it must needs happen to you. Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Plain and simple. All right. You did us greasy. You stripped us everything. You moved us around. It's going to happen to you. And the only difference is our kingdom is going to be eternal, and we're going to do it in righteousness. All right. You devils got something coming. All right. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh. Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim. Rakakorash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, while Akwath, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. We'll say Shalom. All right, and Salaki, y'all. Salaki, I just wanted to get one more little thing because I forgot to mention it. You know, now I've seen estimates of around 100 million, right? But this is as of 2019. It says European colonizers killed so many indigenous Americans that the planet cooled down, a group of researchers concluded. You know, wow. Just looking at this article from Insider, right? It says, following Christopher Columbus's arrival in North America in 1492, violence and disease killed 90% of the indigenous population, nearly 55 million people, according to a study published this year. All right. And they used to say smaller numbers, but now they want to be a little bit more truthful. Diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza, which colonizers brought to the Americas, were responsible for many millions of deaths. Many millions of deaths, man. So you tell me who's the fucking devil, man. Wow, totaling more than 60 million. A little over a century. Yeah, see? It was, yeah. So you killed a lot of people, man. You killed a lot of people. I don't know what them rats over there talking about. And that after that, you know what I'm talking about. 6 million don't compare to 55. And there's more than that when you account for all the tribes. And I'm ended with this. Deuteronomy 33:6. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. All right. Which is why we still have our Northern Kingdom brothers, especially Gad and Ruben, preserved to us. All right. Because had the Lord had not mercy on us, this man would have exterminated us, man. So, hey, I just wanted to grab that. I gave the salute already, so shalom.